I'll tell you a story about one of my obsessions. I guess I probably have a number of them, and probably a lot of them have to do with pop music, but this one doesn't. So this one's a little bit also difficult to confess, Peter. Not quite like the Dave Matthews Band, but it doesn't, like, I feel like there's some things that, like, you could look at me and you could be like, oh yeah, she's probably obsessed with flannel and softball and Ellen DeGeneres. Those things, yes. However, there are probably some things that you would not know that I was obsessed with unless you knew me very well, and you are 52 of my closest friends, so why don't I just tell you? So one thing that I am obsessed with, or that I still like have a thing for, that I still have, is a baby blankie. I am 30 years old, so I probably should have moved on at some point from the baby blankie, but I have one. In fact, like right now, I know exactly where it is under my pillow at home. If this doesn't go well, I'm probably going to go home and like rub it. So I know right where it is, and that's very important to me. The comfort of my baby blankie, which is an odd thing because like I am seemingly so very tough, you know, like piercings and a tattoo and big muscles. But there's a reason I have this baby blanket, and I guess I'll tell you the story about that. It's mostly my dad's fault. And my dad is an interesting guy. He's not the most fiery or dynamic of my two parents. My mother is much more of an out there kind of lady. So I tell a lot of stories about my mom, but this is about the only story that I have that's like really cemented about my dad, except for just like he's solid. And I love him very much. But growing up as a kid, I had this little baby blankie. Like I don't even remember when I got it. It was white and had like silk around the edges, and it was very comforting because I could rub the silk in just a very particular way. And you can tell I'm still a little obsessed. I could do it right now. So it's making me feel better already. So I had this baby blankie as a kid, and when I was like 3, 4, 5, 6, this was okay. But by the time that I was 9 years old, my fiery, willful mother decided that I was old enough that I needed to give up this blankie. And she was going to enforce any way that she could to get me to give up this blankie. She tried to like explain that it was germ infested and disgusting, and I never washed it, and you know, and it was probably breeding all sorts of disgusting things. I needed to get rid of it, but I sure wasn't listening to that because I didn't see any germs, so what? And she tried to like trade me things for it, like things that I really wanted, like I'll trade you, I don't know, this softball glove or this flannel or whatever. But I wasn't trading. She also tried to like pay me exorbitant funds, like $100 to a 9-year-old, because a 9-year-old in like the 80s, that's a lot of money. But I was not selling this blankie, no matter what. And so she had to resort to some sort of like dirty, underhanded tactics instead. And this blankie was my obsession, definitely the like one thing that I'm still obsessed with, and definitely was as a kid. It was kind of like my one and only vice. And even though it was my obsession, and probably because of, it was like a source of intense parental controversy. My parents had like very different parenting styles. Like my mom was very like, you shall do this, and here's your list of chores, and here are the things that you will do, and you know, and I'm in charge, and you are the child, and I will. She's coming off as very cold. She's actually really wonderful and a lovely, warm person, but that was kind of her style when we were kids. And my dad was kind of like, ooh, whatever, I have freckles. So, and they'll grow up, you know, however they grow up, and they're great, and I love my children, all of them, everyone, exactly how they are. So you can see how this would like breed some tension. So my mom decided that I was going to get rid of this blankie, and you know, whatever she had to do. And the way that this came about was on a family vacation over the summer after my 2nd grade year. So I was, I think, 9 years old, and my mom was helping us pack to go on vacation. And I'm from Missouri. Harry S. Truman? Yes, absolutely. So I'm from Missouri, And when a sweet little family, and we were just such a sweet little family, decides to go on a summer vacation, when you live in Missouri, there's like surrounding it like crap, like nothing you want to get to. Like Colorado's kind of close, but not really. Like it's like Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa. Like where the hell are you gonna go? Arkansas. That's where we decided to go because that's like the best of all of those choices. So we were gonna go to Arkansas, and it was gonna be like a hell of a long road trip. So we were packing for this road trip, and the one thing that I wanted to make sure and pack was my blankie, because we were going to be in the car for a really long time. I was going to be cooped up with my siblings, who I kind of hated at this point in my life, and I needed like a little bit of comfort. And my mom was going to make sure that the blankie was not packed. So she deliberately did not pack my blankie, and I was like devastated, in tears, so upset. So did I go to my mother and ask for my blankie? Oh no, because I was a 9-year-old and smart. So I went to my dad, and I told him, I was like, Mom won't let me take my blankie. I don't know how I said it as a 9-year-old. Now I can't remember how a 9-year-old communicates. I should know. But I said something sweet to him and probably batted my big blue eyes, and that really works on him. So he said, don't worry about it. I'll go take care of it. And at some point, he went to my mom, and they had the conversation. And he told her, let her take her blankie. And so I'm sure an argument ensued. I didn't hear it, thank God. I'd be scarred, I really am. But anyway, so I got to take my blankie. We packed it away in the van, and we took it on the trip. And it was a very long car ride, and I was really glad to have my blankie. And the only thing I remember really about this trip, other than the cavalcade of disaster that was about to happen, was that we went to a place called Booger Hollow. That was the town that we ended up in Arkansas, like vacation destination, Booger Hollow. I looked this up later to see if I actually remembered this, and it is a town. It's a town in Pope County, Arkansas. There's a population of 17, and as you drive into town, I can remember this billboard with a hillbilly painted on it, no teeth, overalls. How much more could you enforce the stereotype? Ridiculous. Ozark hillbilly. So we drive into this town, and I see Booger Hollow, and I'm like, oh, I can get some of those. So I was 9. So I probably picked a couple boogers, and then I probably cuddled with my blankie. Gross. So maybe I did need to get rid of that, but I didn't need to do it the way that my mom said about doing it. So after we explored all of Booger Hollow all that day, we went to a pretty nice hotel that night, stayed in the hotel, swam in the pool, ate dinner there, man. I went to sleep, cuddled up with my blankie, I was feeling so safe and secure. All nice, had my blankie, fell asleep. And the next morning, we packed all our stuff up, got in the van, and started driving to Hot Springs. That was our actual destination. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of Hot Springs, Arkansas, but it is similar to Hot Springs, North Carolina. Hot Springs. So that's where we went, but it was a couple hours away, and about halfway through the drive, about an hour into this drive, I realized what was wrong, which was my blankie was gone, missing. I didn't have it, and I flipped out. Just lost it. I started screaming, and though this screaming was probably expected, it was startling enough that my dad slammed on the brakes and pulled the car over, and I screamed bloody murder that I had lost my blanket. I didn't have it. I didn't know where it was. I left it at the hotel. Devastated. I don't remember any of this. I don't remember throwing this fit, but I know it must have been one heck of a fit because my dad did absolutely the unthinkable. Turned the van around, and he drove a whole hour back to Booger Hollow. And he pulled into the hotel, and my mom went inside to check and see if my blankie was there, which she knew it wasn't. She came back out. Sorry, it's gone. Swept into the bowels of hotel housekeeping, never to emerge again. So, I lost my blankie, and I was devastated. The worst thing that could have ever possibly happened to me. I was completely inconsolable the rest of the trip. Shell of my former confident being. Which obviously has stuck with me. So It was awful. Like I can just remember the feeling of devastation of like having this thing that was so important to me and then losing it. And when I got home, I was still like just so upset about it for like weeks and weeks. Like usually kids like let go of things, but I was pretty obsessed. And this I like stayed on, was so upset about it. And eventually my mother had a change of heart, I guess. What really happened was I'm pretty sure my dad talked her in to going to get another blankie for me. And in fact, a couple of weeks after we got back, they went out and they bought 2 different blankies. They bought a pink one and a blue one, because they weren't sure which way I was going to go. So I kept the blue one, which is still the one I have to this day. It has silk around the edges too. And I'm sure, and I've had this conversation later, like my mom copped up. She admitted that she had this plan and that my dad sort of foiled it. And as you can expect, many years later, this tension between my parents and parenting grew to an insurmountable amount, and they got divorced, not over the blankie. But, you know, you still feel that. And they got divorced when I was 26 years old. So I was a little younger than that. I don't know, 24, 25. But old enough for me to like understand kind of all of those reasons that they got divorced. Not to think that it was my fault with the blankie incident, but to kind of see those different tensions. And the interesting thing about it was that, you know, I really started to see my dad in another light after my parents got divorced, because I didn't know that he was the one that like said, let's go get this blankie and let's, you know, she needs this little bit of comfort. But he told me that he had a blankie actually when he was a little boy. So it was something that kind of helped out. And he started telling me that he loves me. So, which he never said before. Kind of a detached guy, but now he says it every time he talks to me. So, parents got divorced, I got a blankie. Dad says, I love you. Aww. That's my story.